Hey, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you are doing well, and it is a hot one. I am sweaty as heck. Do not mind me. Do not mind me and my occasional dab, because this melon is dewy right now. We're going to go over what I thought were the best and worst tracks of the week. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. First, I want to give a quick shout out to the live dates that I have coming up in August. New York, Massachusetts, and CT. Be there, 23rd, 24th, 25th. Link to tickets down below. Also down below are our Amazon and Turntable Lab associate links. Treat yourselves, especially that Turntable Lab link. We get kickback from it. Supports the channel, supports the segment. Let's get into the worst tracks of the week. Worst tracks, a handful of tracks, handful of songs. But bam, first one. Tom MacDonald, he is back with a track called If I Was Black. And it was whack. I wasn't really trying to rhyme that whole time. Oh, damn. I can't stop. I'm on a roll. Anyway. I will give it to Tom that he did try to see outside of his narrow worldview on this track, and it is one of his less trash tracks, but still it ended up pretty cringe, and I guess a B minus for effort. I'll say B minus. Moving on from there, we have a new quality control project, which I believe is hitting the streets pretty soon. We have a track from it featuring Lil Baby and Da Baby, titled Baby. And yeah, these two absolutely have no chemistry together whatsoever. It's got a generic beat, no real interesting structure or anything like that. Lil Baby to this day still sounds like a boring, comatose young thug. And this is probably the kind of quality that we can expect from the new quality control project. Moving on from there, Maxo Cream, a rapper, has a new project out. Travis Scott is featured on this song over here. The Relays. And I just thought it was kind of underwhelming. Vocals and lyrics were really tedious. The beat was just so-so. Travis's appearances on the song were completely forgettable. Didn't really quite get the appeal of this one, frankly. Moving on from there, also Beyoncé and Kendrick on the song Nile on this new sort of Beyoncé-heavy Lion King-inspired project. And I'm not really digging a whole lot of the music from it so far. It just seems like really over budget, really underwritten, and just like a really gimmicky music tie-in for a bunch of music that sounds really epic, but most likely didn't take that long to write, or is just kind of thrown together, and you hope that the glamorous and immense production kind of fills in the gaps and makes it all sound artful and worth the time that everyone put into it. So I don't know, not so interesting to my ears. Kendrick's delivery on this track was really monotone and flat and totally uninspired. One of his worst appearances on a song I think I've heard in the past few years. Beyoncé doesn't exactly save the track either, so I'm sure a lot of fans will be excited to try this one because of the names involved and everything, but geez, do yourself a favor and just skip. It's not worth it. And Kill Switch Engage, they are back. Kill Switch Engage, Atonement. And they have come out with a brand new track that sounds exactly like if Nickelback tried to write an alt metal song. That's essentially what this sounds like. Nickelback going alt metal, and that's it. It's pretty terrible. All right, let's move. And one more. Ceremony. The band Ceremony. They keep going. They just cannot stop trying to make subpar post-punk. But that is exactly what they are doing again on this new track of theirs. I will admit that the groove on this one is not too bad, but still at the end of the day, the band just cannot get away from this incredibly subpar, mediocre, vintage post-punk sound that they just do nothing with. I just don't get the band's pivot. And this is, again, another record that they're doing in this vein. And it is shaping up to be another disappointment. So, yeah, I guess I just missed the hardcore punk stuff. And apparently they're most likely not going to go back to that. But, I mean, if you're going to leave, at least do something a bit more gripping than this, I suppose. All right, let's move on to the tracks that I thought were kind of meh. Weren't terrible, weren't awful, but didn't blow me away either. First off, the new Wilco, which to me sounded like an Elliott Smith track, but a lot more underwhelming. Fizzled out toward the end too, but it had a nice low-key indie folk vibe to it. It's not a bad track. Love is Everywhere, Beware is the title of it. Twin Peaks, a band that I have not really been all that interested in since I think their 2014 album. But this new song they've put out over here, which I believe is titled Dance Through It. Yes, Dance Through It. The vocals are a little subpar, but the groove is great. The instrumental is good. The tune is fantastic as well. So, I don't know. Twin Peaks, I feel like they're a little bit on the come up here. It seems like they're kind of getting a bit more of a pulse, doing something more interesting than just some standard, forgettable indie rock type stuff. So, digging it quite a bit. Moving on from there. Oops. We have TFS, Tropical F Storm. They're back with a new track. Didn't really dig how indirect this one was. The beat, the vocals, none of it really coalesced in a way where it all felt like it was reinforcing each other, but there is a weird quality to it that I do typically like in most of the band's music. This one over here is titled Who Is My Eugene? Who Is My Eugene? Moving on from there, we also have a new track from Shura, who's been teasing toward her new full-length album, Forever Her. This new one over here, I think, has one of the groovier and peppier instrumentals that I think she's come out with, but I did not dig the vocal performance on this one. It felt very nasal, felt very nondescript. There are a lot of very washed-out indie bands and singers that sort of sing in a similar tone with a similar amount of effects on their voice, and it just sort of makes it easy to kind of disconnect from the vocals emotionally because they don't really stand out all that much. But still, I did dig the groove. I did dig the slightly vintage vibe of the instrumental. It's a blend of dance pop and synth pop and indie. It's got a good vibe to it. Moving on from there, the Menzingers have a new record on the way, a new track out, which kind of surprised me because the title of this track, Anna, the song kind of sounded like if the Menzingers were trying to write like a really good 90s radio rock tune, or if they were like trying to write a Foo Fighters song. Not one of my favorite Menzingers tracks in general, but I guess they mostly came out ahead trying to write a song in this style. It wasn't bad. Moving on from there, we have this new track over here from Little Scream, Dear Leader. The instrumental and the tune of the track is okay. It kind of suffers at the hand of the message of the song because the track is so wordly and the track is so wordy and it is so weirdly paced. But if you want a deeply and a hard and an unapologetically political message coming out of your track, kind of acknowledging the insanity of current day, I feel like this is a track that you're not going to want to miss. Moving on from there, Hopsin is back with a track that I reviewed on the Fantano channel. It's a song where he's essentially leaving, saying he's getting out of the music game to get his mind right. He's dealing with a lot of issues, a lot of problems. He's unhappy. I Don't Want It is the title of the song. I actually think it's one of his better tracks in a while, even if there are some elements of it that I do think hold it back a bit. Hopefully, when he does eventually end up making a return, he's putting out stuff this good or better. Felt like the track was really personal, really compelling. Interesting to see Hopsin self-analyze and I guess give a true assessment of his situation without, I guess, making himself a victim or kind of blaming other people for all the problems and everything that he's dealing with. Seems like he himself acknowledges that he could have made some better decisions in terms of where he is right now. And I don't know, just hope he's on the road to recovery and that he eventually reaches a better place, whether he's releasing music or not. All right, next I want to give a shout out to Frankie Cosmos, who has a record coming out on September 9th, I believe it is. A new track out. Many tracks have been dropping from Frankie as of late. This new one over here that stopped me in my tracks a little bit. Rings is kind of a quaint, short indie rock tune with a very awkward but lovely melody to it that I thought was kind of funny. And yeah, I guess I'm just kind of waiting to see if all these songs come together into something that really wows me on this new full-length album. I do love the color scheme of this cover, too, so it's quite nice. All right, moving on from there. Fortet, brand new song. Felt like some very serene, lightweight techno with some very pretty sound play going on within it. Not one of my favorite progressions he's ever developed or anything like that, but still a lot of good things going for this track. Not bad. Just looking for that new Fortet album whenever it's coming, man. Whenever it's coming, I'll wait. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting to hear it. And also Flip Tricks, UK rapper Flip Tricks has a new track out, Thriller, featuring Skinny Man, which is a pretty smooth bit of UK hip hop. That's quite nice. Ooh, dab it up. All right, and Conway, the Machine of Griselda Records, or just AKA Conway. Griselda Records, which many people have been hyping up as of late, they have a deal coming, or rather they've inked a deal where they have a project on the way via Shady Records. So this East Coast rap labels, I guess I want to say roster, has caught the ear of none other than Slim Shady himself. And now we're starting to hear material featuring the artists on this label, Conway being one of them, with Eminem on it. And Bang is the title of this new track. And Conway previously, I've never been a big fan of the man's music. But to be honest, the instrumental, his very gritty, grimy, just mean, cold-blooded delivery on this song for the first leg of it is actually pretty great. One of the better, minute or so of Conway music that I think I've ever heard. But then Eminem comes on. He literally ruins the track. Conway and Eminem are like freaking oil and water. Like Eminem, I think during the early point of his career, could have hopped on this track and done something awesome. Could have complimented the song, would have sounded good. But at this point, he's just so zany. He's trying too hard. Like, dude, match the vibe of the song. For the love of God, like, just do something that fits in the track. Do something that complements the artist's style. I know you're Eminem. I know you're larger than life. I know you have this gigantic ego and this amazing track record, and you've sold tens of millions of albums. But please, for the love of God, if you're going to appear on a track like this, just try to find it within yourself to serve the song. Don't just do some zany, crazy shit and rap bar after bar about Ja Rule, which like is a beef that no one even cares about anymore. No one cares about it. No one even thinks about it unless you bring it up. Yeah, I'm done. Look, there's some great aspects to this song, and I am definitely looking forward to seeing what the Griselda crew does on their forthcoming Shady release, and I've been trying to catch up with some of the more recent stuff, like the new Benny the Butcher EP, but this was not very good, and I hope that Eminem refrains from showing up on more of their tracks, unless he is, again, going to try to do his best to fit into the track and do something that just sort of works with the label's style. I mean, I think it's great, and I think it's flattering that someone like Eminem has taken interest in what they're doing. That's fantastic. That's amazing. But when you do something like bring these guys into the Shady fold, and then you appear on a track and do something like this, that to me makes me wonder, like, are you actually appreciating what makes them different? Because if you did, would you not want to do something else other than the annoying stuff that people don't already like on your current records? whatever. All right, Chelsea Wolfe has come through with another track from her forthcoming album. American Darkness is the name of this new song over here. And a lot like the last song she released, this one's kind of low-key. It's pretty acoustic. Chelsea may be hitting us with her most low-key record yet. And yeah, I mean, it's an acoustic ballad. It's got a bit of a, I don't know, maybe a slight goth country vibe to it in a way. But just generally, I thought it was kind of underwhelming. I just thought it was kind of underwhelming. I mean, when she does eventually come out with this album, if it does end up being an acoustic record, that certainly will be an interesting change of pace. And maybe hearing all of the songs in context, they will grow on me. But as of right now, they don't really have that same sinister bite, nor are they so tuneful that I'm wowed by them. You know, the typical appeals I would enjoy out of a Chelsea Wolfe record, no matter what she ends up going for, because every Chelsea Wolfe record up until this point has been different. You know, she's shot for some new sound, new style, new something. But I cannot say that I'm all that excited for what she's doing so far on this new record. But hey, I will reserve full criticisms for when I hear the entire album. All right, new Alex G Sandy track that has come out. This one is on the shorter and more, I don't know, sort of low-key side. Hope. It's a decent ballad. You know, if you like Alex G's lo-fi, sort of bedroom balladier style, I think you'll dig this track quite a bit. The instrumental's pretty lush. I do love hearing Alex G get a bit more clear, you know, and ambitious in his instrumental layering on his recent stuff. It's definitely got me psyched for this new House of Sugar project. All right, let's talk about the best tracks of the week. I have a handful of tracks that have really wowed me this week. One, new Whitney, which is previously an indie folk project I didn't really think about all that much ever. However, their last single for this forthcoming album seemed to hit it out of the park. A lot of people were going crazy for that single. I thought it was pretty decent. This new one I'm actually enjoying quite a bit. My Love Valleys, I think, is a beautiful ballad. It's a beautiful love tune, and I think it's got some great thematic melodies throughout it. Good, clear, rich production. Some decent vocals as well. So, I don't know. It's just a very beautiful tune. Just a very beautiful tune all around. Moving on from there, Vivian Girls. Yes, Vivian Girls, the noise rock act Vivian Girls are back. They have a new album on the way, Memories. Sick is the name, or rather Memory. Sick is the name of this new track. And it's very washed out. It's very reverby. It's very noisy. It's very drony. It's very bricked and wall of sound. But yet there is a cute, heavenly little tune at the center of all this chaos. That, to me, is when Vivian Girls were at their best, you know, around like their first album in that sort of era of their career. Everything else after that sort of seemed like they were trying to make their music appeal to a wider audience. Seems like with what they're doing here, they're going back to basics. They are going back to essentially what worked for them when they initially broke onto the scene. And I'm liking it. I think it's a cool, fun approach to tuneful, pretty, twee-esque noise rock. Moving on from there, the band SWAIN, the Northern European punk outfit, or rather now kind of grunge alternative rock outfit, SWAIN. They are back, new album on the way. Their last full-length album was one of my favorite rock albums of that year when it dropped. They have come out with 2 new songs, 2 new music videos, But Then What and Negative Space. And once again, I feel like the band gets closer to the sounds of just like grunge and alternative rock of the 90s, and they do it in a way where it doesn't purely feel like a throwback, and yet they simultaneously remind me of all the great things about that era without pulling up all the terrible stuff that makes me happy that it's gone. And on top of that, the songs are just incredibly solid, and furthermore, the music videos are pretty creatively shot and edited too. So I feel like they're kind of killing it on all fronts right now. So dig these tracks, good solid songs with a bit of a 90s flair. And yeah, I don't really think I have anything else to say other than I'm just looking forward to the record. Hell yeah, SWAIN. And check out my last 2 reviews of their work. Or rather, you know, SWAIN and This Is Hell, because they switched names. You know, they have the SWAIN album and the SWAIN, they had like a little EP where they did the name switch, and then Full of Hell before that. But, check out all those reviews because they're a good, solid band. All right, next, I want to give a shout out to this group that I'm just now learning of by the name of Squid. They have a new EP on the way, and this song over here, The Cleaner, is fantastic. Definitely satisfies my desire for more post-punk, which is insatiable, by the way. I am picky with the genre, but if it's good, I can always do with more. And these guys definitely fit into that trend of post-punk that is just dancier, more freakish, more jagged, more zany, a little XTC inspired, just very strange and freaky vocals. I would say maybe even it's a little pop group influenced, and it's a 7-minute song too. So it moves through multiple phases, some of which are very noisy, some of which are very low key, and it's a pretty creative track. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more from this band. They are now my sort of band to look out for, essentially. All right, moving on from there, Sleater-Kinney is back with a brand new song. If you guys didn't catch, a little while ago, shortly after the release of their last track that I was pretty disappointed by, it made it into my least favorite songs of the week, their longtime drummer, had announced that she is quitting the band. So, new album on the way, produced by St. Vincent, a couple singles out, drummer gone, but the album is still set to be released. There's still going to be a tour. It's still Sleater-Kinney. So, a lot of weird changes going on, and I am pretty surprised to hear what they're shooting for on this track. I mean, for Sleater-Kinney, the vocals still sound very consistent. They're very shouty. There's a lot of vibrato. They're very overstated. They're very in your face. They're very punkish. I mean, it's that electrifying energy, vocal energy that you typically get out of a Sleater-Kinney track, but the production on this song is heavy, and it's slightly industrial-ish, I would say, in some regards. It's very noisy. It's very cold. It's very jagged and metallic and mean, and it doesn't really kind of have that human touch in a way, but it's not a bad thing because it's still very explosive and it's still very hard-hitting. So I've been all over the place with enjoying these new Sleater-Kinney tracks. I can say that I do enjoy, though, that it seems like the band are taking some serious risks. So I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. And I don't know. Hopefully the new record comes out just really off the wall and just from the future or something, because this is I don't know, what they're delivering so far is kind of insane. All right, moving on from there, Hearse, which is a new musical project that features Jack Antonoff and a few others. So Jack Antonoff of the Bleachers fame. So obviously there's going to be a huge pop element to this project. The new music video this song is attached to features St. Vincent, to bring up St. Vincent once again. Half Love is the name of this song, and it's actually just a wonderful tune. It's a wonderful ballad, and great vocals as well. Fantastic vocal performance on this track. So, yeah, just loving it. Just absolutely loving it. Want to shout out this artist who I'm just now finding out about, who had a new song and a music video drop this week. That's pretty fantastic. If anything, just check this track out for the music video, because the choreography is insane, and the whole seance concept going on throughout the song is really cool. The name of this new track over here is I Wish. It's from Hayley Kiyoko. And I don't know, given this track's fusion of pop rap and R&B and indie pop, I'm just going to have to keep tabs on what Hayley is doing, because this track is really cool. Music video is hella creative, and the tune is sweet too. So yeah, loving it. Moving on from there, Brittany Howard of Alabama Shakes fame. You already know I have talked about the previous song she released from her forthcoming record. She has an album on the way. That last song I thought was pretty repetitive, wasn't really that into it, was kind of worried, like, oh man, I know she can write songs, but why does this song feel so one-dimensional? Like, what the hell is going on? But this new track over here, which has a music video attached to it featuring Terry Crews, of all people, which is not a bad thing. Terry Crews is a great actor. It's amazing whenever Terry Crews shows up for anything. But Stay High is the name of this track, and it's actually a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul song that is absolutely wonderful. Howard absolutely kills it on the vocal performance, and the instrumental has that kind of rustic feel to it, that vintage feel to it that you like out of an Alabama Shake song, but you can tell with her doing a bit of a solo thing here. It's got a different characteristic to it. All right, the Highwomen, which is a new sort of all-female country supergroup featuring none other than Brandi Carlile and some other artists as well, have a new track out titled Redesigning Women, which is actually a pretty compelling, cute song. Obviously dealing in gender politics, but all in all, it's a good, tasteful country tune with a sweet message and some great group vocals, too. You know, the vocal layering on this track is pretty nice. It's pretty sweet. Fever Ray. Shout out to Fever Ray. Karen is back with this track, I'm Not Done, Still Not Done mix. And I'm glad that she's not done. I'm glad that she's still not done. I'm glad that she's putting out more material because this track is like a wild combination of some of her weirdest vocals yet and this very zany house beat that I think is pretty cool. So I don't know. I was kind of disappointed when she came back with that last full-length album. I think it could have been a lot better, and I'm glad that we're not having to wait too long to hear her put out more stuff under the Fever Ray name, because that debut record is fantastic. I feel like she has so much more great music in her, and I want to hear it. And this song is certainly an example of that. All right, ASAP Ferg, Floor Seats. He's come out with a few tracks as of late. He has this song, again, Floor Seats. He has another track, Wham, with MadeinTYO. And both these tracks are bangers. Not only are the instrumentals weird, ASAP Ferg sounds way more in his element in terms of his vocal performance. And I don't know, it's honestly reminding me of the Trap Lord days a little bit. And not exactly like he's going back and doing the same thing, but it's like, wow, it seems like he's almost on the cutting edge of just making trap sound freaky and alternative again. It's sort of sad that the genre has hit a point where it's become so homogenous, so formulaic. You have so many artists that are basically trying to sound like the front runners, all trying to chase after a formula. To me, these two Ferg tracks just sound really left field and just sound like they're full of character. What made Ferg so interesting when he initially came on the scene was that his personality was so goofy and his bars were so out there and his humor was just so much at the forefront of what he was doing. And I feel like all of that's returning, but with a slightly fresher sound on these two new tracks, and it's pretty cool. So dig these songs that are linked down below along with every other track that I've talked about so far. Moving on from there, Ezra Furman, who is a singer and a songwriter whose music I've only paid attention to a little bit here and there at this point. He's got a new record on the way. 12 Nudes is the title of it. And amongst the songs that have come out so far, I know I've teased one or I've talked about one in a weekly track roundup. This other one over here, I'm actually even more impressed with. I Want to Be Your Girlfriend. It's got some great lyrics. It's a cool ballad in 3/4. It's got a vintage vibe to the instrumental. Sounds like a very heartbroken, sad, tear in your beer type 60s ballad. Excuse me, but it's got a bit of a distorted lo-fi quality to it as well. I like it a lot. I think it's great. Charli XCX, Christine and the Queens. Gone is the title of this new collaborative single and music video that they have worked on together. And I don't know, man. It's a pop anthem. It is a pop epic. It is of immense proportions. Charli XCX has done a lot of crossovers over the past few years, and this is easily one of the better ones. And I'm surprised because I'm not even really a huge Christine and the Queens fan. I mean, there are a few songs here and there that I think are pretty dramatic and hit hard. But outside of that, I am generally underwhelmed by a lot of that project's material. But now with this Charli song, it's like, whoa, knocked it out of the park. Holy crap, you guys are going so hard. And yeah, man, it's definitely one of the better pop anthems of the decade. It's I don't know what else to say. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's immense. And that has been the weekly track roundup, everybody. That has been the weekly track roundup, and I got through it without sweating too much. Again, all of the tracks that I talked about, they're linked down below. Okay, they're linked down below, along with once more our Turntable Lab and Amazon associate links, and of course a link to the tickets for the upcoming shows. And I think that's going to be it, guys. You're the best, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best. Anthony Fantano, Weekly Track Roundup, forever.